A river of this nature, because it's straight, is degraded. The habitats that we would expect to see on a river of this nature are not present in this situation. This river isn't connected to its floodplain. The ambition is to try and restore the river back to something like its former state.
This is the culmination of 3 years' work where we've moved from paper and computer modelling and analysis of historic maps back 300 years. Now this is actually happening.
The EU Life Wader project is a £5.8 million project, and it's based in Northumberland. It encapsulates a large area of over 70,000 hectares, incorporating the River Tweed estuary and a long stretch of the Northumberland coast. So the reason for working in the whole catchment is because there are several rivers, like the River Breamish here at Harehope, which feed into the River Tweed, which is one of these special protected areas. So if we've got excess nutrients going into multiple watercourses higher up in the catchment, then they'll all come together and amalgamate and create a significant impact at the coast, where we're seeing these algal blooms.
The goals of this piece of work are actually multiple. The restoration of the river is foremost, but actually through the restoration of the river we're doing a lot more. Floodplains play a huge role in our rivers. They not only store water when we've got floods, they help dissipate that energy off the rivers during the flood. They also are sediment and nutrient sinks. And when we disconnect the rivers from the floodplains, as we have done here through both the deepening of the river and the building of the flood banks, it means that the fine sediment that we're standing on here means that the nutrients that are associated with that stay within the river channel itself. And that's led to this ongoing enrichment of our rivers. To reverse that, actually reconnecting our floodplains, getting some of that nutrient back out onto the floodplains, stored out onto the floodplains, is quite a large element of this piece of work. When the work was done to straighten this river, we estimate that the overall length of the river was reduced by around about a mile. So when we look at a map, this 1 mile reach really stands out and it's really significant. We've got the opportunity to push the river out into the floodplains adjacent to us, where the river has not been for the last 150, 200 years.
Tweed Forum have done some really interesting work, and they've been speaking with Alnwick Castle, who seem to have a lot of archive records that show maps of the floodplain as it used to be in a lot of detail.
Yeah, so we know that a survey was done in the 1610s, surveying a lot of the Earl of Northumberland's lands. It would have been the 9th Earl at the time. This is the crest of the 9th Earl on the plan. These detailed plans come from around 1624.
So I mean, what it's showing, obviously at that time, it's not incredibly accurate and indicative, but it's showing the Breamish as it flows down through our project area beyond Buick Bridge, where it then becomes the River Till. What it clearly shows is that, you know, it's a very sinuous flow pattern. What you don't have is that 1-2 mile straight section that we currently have.
We've been chatting to the estate for getting on for 12, 15 years now. And change like this happens really slowly. It's actually very hard to give up good arable land. From the estate's point of view, that's been a hard decision to take. We're changing the fields from good arable land to pasture. I understand that is not an agreeable proposition to an awful lot of people. So we've been incredibly lucky that John Wrangham and the family, you know, have been supportive of this project to allow us this opportunity.
I think for any project like this, on a working arable conventional farm in particular, is obviously a big undertaking. Losing any land can impact the viability of the farm. We had various options about how it could be done, from very simplistic, a few dams in various places, to the full re-meandering. Sort of all the options were laid out on the table. So we had conversations ourselves about, did we want to still farm the land in an arable sense, or could we manage the land differently and therefore allow a full re-meandering project to be done? Whereas I think if the stewardship funding hadn't been available to us, we would have probably had to pare that right back, or look at ways we could still manage that land and make money from it, essentially.
The EA have driven this forward from the early stages in the respect of getting it to site. So I'd say it was part of the till restoration strategy. So we managed that design process, we managed the planning and the permitting and all that process as well. As it's gone towards construction, the Tweed Forum have become more involved and have essentially delivered the scheme on site.
We've delivered probably 10 or 20 different projects across the catchment in the last 5 or 6 years on behalf of the partnership. This is probably the most ambitious of the projects that we've delivered so far, but we've got significant experience.
Working in the natural environment is never straightforward. What we've been able to do working closely with AECOM is actually tweak the design as we work our way through, creating additional features to provide additional habitat that wasn't on the original design. This could be ditch widening, inset berms and additional scrapes.
So the sites are protected in a protected area. It is a site of special scientific interest and a special area of conservation. So we are restricted in a lot of ways of what the things we can do. We've got a sand martin population here, and we have some exposed sandy banks on the river, which we had to essentially cover to dissuade birds from nesting there over the start of the summer, which would have impacted on the construction works.
One of the key problems you've got here is you're working on a floodplain. It's relatively flat by the nature of floodplains. Trying to work in gradients, you're working with a channel that's been constrained in a straight channel for sort of 200 years. It's obviously scoured downwards, so it's much deeper than the existing floodplain. It's kind of divorced from that. So we've had quite a bit of difficulty making levels work, getting the water to come out naturally onto the floodplain, raising the bed levels there, getting that to work in technically has been quite complex.
So we've got 2 dam structures as part of the design. There's one upstream, which is the main dam structure, which deflects the flow from the upstream existing channel into the new channel, the diverted channel. The old channel has been left in place. We're not backfilling it. That will become a fantastic backwater area for wildlife and for fish refuge. Behind me is the second downstream dam. The leaky dams, so they don't stop the flow. They're designed to allow flow through and fish passage through, but they are designed to divert the majority of the flow into the new channels.
Yeah, this Harehope River Restoration project, it's one of the most exciting things I've ever done, actually. It's a really big scale river restoration. So the whole design's based on geomorphology research. We did a lot of work with hydraulic modelling and interrogation of LiDAR data. LiDAR is really detailed ground survey. It shows ground elevations and topography and a lot of detail. So by analysing that topography, we were able to see exactly where the river used to meander across the floodplain before it was straightened. But what we've done, taken it to the other side of the floodplain, so we've re-meandered the river back where it used to be. We've broken it out of the embankments, taken it out of confinement, and really we're giving it a chance to be a river again.
We've done this, and then nature will shape it, we'll do the final finessing itself. We've created the rough channel, and then we'll let nature do the rest.
And obviously it's a long-term project, It's an exciting idea to see what it looks like in 30 years' time, I think. Just kind of, adapt what we do as the river adapts what it's doing.